He turned his lover into an Amazon.
That had been my dream for so long.
But he couldn't hold on to her.
There is such a thing as outgrowing your teacher.
Now she runs her own Amazon factory, where they throw down a challenge to men. There's no alcohol or smoking, and even coffee is forbidden. They worship the earth, fire, and water, and learn martial arts.
I don't want to be a man. I still want to be a beautiful and tender woman. I can sew, knit, cook, and clean. I do all that with love, but I also love my martial arts. I would have been very happy being born among Amazons. I don't call myself an Amazon to associate myself with those women who lived in ancient times. I can sense the spirit inside myself.
Vladimir Pilat is seen by some as the supreme master. Others say he just creates legends. He founded a combat version of Gopak, a traditional Ukrainian dance.
Long live Ukraine! Long live heroes!
Vladimir claims that the secrets of this art are his natural heritage. From when his grandfather was chosen from 1,000 to join the Austro-Hungarian Emperor's Guard.
He could easily lift a horse. He packed a really heavy punch, but he never hit anyone in the face. Why kill him, he'd say.
After studying Cossack legend for almost 30 years, Vladimir came to a conclusion. Their martial art is concealed within Gopak, and that the dance deceives the enemy.
Gopak has a huge number of complex jumping elements that are unique. After 20 years of karate, I realized that our movement dynamics are much higher. Karate is more difficult. Gopak is more dynamic.
One day, Ekaterina Tarnovskaya came to attend a combat Gopak class.
That man gave me the opportunity to take a step forward. He encouraged me to start doing martial arts. It's what I'd been looking for. He gave me that knowledge.
I'd long been dreaming of creating a woman's style. I was looking for a girl who would understand. Ekaterina turned out to be someone who believed in me.
Glory to Amazons! Glory to warriors!
Amazons lived on this land, around the Azov Sea. Once there was a country here called Amazonia where women ruled. This is where the matriarchal system survived for the longest on this planet. We see nothing bad in that. If a woman is studying martial arts to protect herself, her children and her family, you can only praise her for that.
Ekaterina Tarnovskaya found the name for her Amazon school in old Scandinavian sagas, which speak of a city of gods called Asgard. Her martial arts center is called Asgarda.
I like the word Asgarda at once. It is made up of 3 parts: As, Gar, Da. As is a professional who knows his trade perfectly. Gar relates to the Sanskrit word for fire, and Da ties in with Dana, the goddess of water. Fire is more about manhood. And water is femininity. In Asgarda, the masculine and feminine are united as one.
Asgarda grew out of combat Gopak, from which it took its 7 levels of mastery and its basic movements, though some adaptation to women's hands and feet were needed.
She worked a lot on the history part. I directed her as a teacher. I wrote 2 books with Ekaterina Tarnovskaya. The first is about the first level of the woman's martial art, Asgarda.
This one-story building was the birthplace of Vladimir Pilat's combat Gopak school.
This is my altar. I've always adored weapons. I pray to this sword. Like all ancient warriors, I cherish those traditions. This coat of arms was awarded to my great-grandfather, and this is my shrine. Some solar symbols that my friends gave me, and a wolf, the sign of all our warriors. This is a photo of us when we were very young. At first we had a teacher-student relationship. Then we decided to start a family. But she was always asking the same question. What's the next technique? She wanted to develop her skills more and more. It's possible that my teaching could have been detrimental to women's martial arts. I have a man's mind, so I left it to her.
In Asgarda, like in a martial art that's close to street fighting, heel strikes are allowed. You do it like this. As a master, he had his own vision of how the school should develop. His viewpoint was based on folklore, health, and technical details, while I wanted to develop more towards actual fighting. I didn't have enough sparring experience. I hadn't mastered the techniques yet, the philosophy of winning, and I realized that I needed to immerse myself in the subject to build up this knowledge. Back then, neither Gopak nor Vladimir could give that to me. So I thought I should work with other martial arts federations. Vladimir was firmly against that.
I wanted her to understand that the school is much bigger than the sport. It has meaning, philosophy. It develops a person in all directions.
She has a spirit very like the old Amazons. For me, she's a warrior. Is she a man or a woman? Perhaps a man does live inside. I don't know. Spirits are neutral when they migrate between people. I can say for sure that she has a warrior's spirit. I believe it, she believes it too. The only thing that I don't like is that I'm not really in favor of martial arts for women. Although, they're popular now. Fight with your arms! Arms! More!
Thai boxing simply came out of Thailand. And kickboxing, they're all stripped of their philosophy, morals, ethics, and faith. It's not art, it's just scrapping.
Give them a big hand. Believe me, you won't often see girls with championship titles like these.
When you watch it, fighting just for the sake of fighting, with all that screaming, hit him, hit him. You can't help but ask, is that really what a man was born for? To live like a sadist or a masochist?
Где же путь развития выше?
When we were getting divorced, he was very stern. The main reason for that was that we had such different views about my development.
And the winner is Ekaterina Tarnovskaya, Ukraine.
When Vladimir Pilat, the supreme master of combat Gopak, divorced martial artist Ekaterina Tarnovskaya, their son stayed with his mother. His name is Danari. She made the name up herself. Dana is the goddess of water, and Ari, the god of war.
I can fight, but I'm too old for exercises on the bar. He understands that his mother is very strong. He can fight with her. I always remind him that he should help his mother because she's a woman, but he often forgets because to him, I'm a warrior. Don't hit hard, I told you! There is some historic evidence that Amazons did meet men to have children, but didn't have families. If they had a girl, they raised her. If a boy, they raised him to a certain age, and then gave him to a society of men.
My father was very harsh when he raised me. He forbade music and dancing. I'm grateful to my father for knocking that nonsense out of my head. If you're my son, you have to be a warrior. That's what I want my son to be. I know it's not an easy path. There'll be injuries along the way. But that's normal. It's worth living for.
In recent years, about 1,000 girls have finished Asgarda, the school for modern Amazons. Classes take place regardless of whether Ekaterina Tarnovskaya can conduct them or not. While she prepares for another fight, the Amazons are trained by her assistant, also called Ekaterina.
For now, Ekaterina is the only person to have chosen this way. She's a person I can rely on. When she had to choose between Gopak and Asgarda, she chose me. I think of her as my follower and disciple.
Before we go in, we address the water and ask her to give us strength, to make our bodies fast and beautiful, just like water. Come on, do this! These are baggy trousers. They help conceal where the strike comes from. They're comfortable to work in and they don't restrict your movement. For many centuries, the belt was a sign of the warrior's level. I am a warrior by nature. That's it. These are the rules, behavior and lifestyle. If you're a warrior, it doesn't mean you get to dictate your own rules all the time. To be a warrior means sticking to the principles of honesty and truth.
As soon as there's a break between bouts, Ekaterina Tarnowskaya brings Daneri to the Amazon camp.
I understand you can be cross with your mom, but not so much as to slash her to death.
Є один нюанс стосовно хлопця з дівчинкою такий підхід
There is one
не буде,
thing
але
about a
стосовно
boy that's
хлопця
different
я
with
тримаю
girls.
дистанцію, тому що він
I keep a
чоловік,
distance from my
повинен
boy.
бути від початку своїх
He needs to be
самостійним,
independent from the very
і він
beginning.
має бути більше в чоловічому
He should spend more time among men,
тато,
like his dad,
друзі,
friends.
табори, хлопці. Тобто я
I'm planning to
намагаюся
tear myself
його
away from him from an
відривати
early
від себе
age.
від початку його років.
Женская любовь.
A woman's love can destroy a man,
Она может
do him so much harm.
огромный ущерб. И поэтому
So boys
мальчики
should grow
должны
up separately.
воспитываться отдельно.
Для мене важливо
It's
народити
important to
дівчинку,
me
а
to have a
народити
girl,
дівчинку
but it's
поза
immoral to
сім'єю
have a
вважаю
child out
аморальним.
of wedlock. To me, there is the concept of segregated marriage. You have a person you love and who you want as the father of your child, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to live with him in the same apartment.
When I was helping her to create Asgarda, I was trying to think of a style that would, first of all, develop the highest possible moral character in a woman.
Any real Ukrainian woman must know how to stand up for herself, how to protect her family and children, and always to be faithful to her husband, to support him in everything.
The Ukrainian word for marriage comes from the word for friendship. We just become friends. Friendship is at the heart of everything. Your wife is your friend and your wife. That's why we traditionally refer to family as our troop. It's a union of two essential values. That's why it hit so hard when I saw feminist tendencies, and I was simply shocked. What's that for? Why unleash the fire of war between men and women?
Artist Anna Roxana Lipa has created Feminia Amazonia, a series of studies of combat between brutal men and warrior women. She has read both Pilat and Tarnowskaya's books and thinks of Ukraine as the homeland of Amazons.
The main thing is improvisation.
Anna Roxana is very particular about how her work is displayed, using easels and fabric in a cozy courtyard.
The Amazonia series began as a game between a man and a woman. The man makes the first move, and the woman surrenders. Her sensitive silk substance yields if she likes it. The Amazon concept only appears when the relationship between a man and a woman is destroyed.
Anna Roxana created Feminia Amazonia with her husband, Elshat Rostamov, a painter from Azerbaijan. However, instead of uniting the couple, the Amazon myth tore them apart. They now live in separate countries.
He took me as though I were the Bastille.
He lives in Azerbaijan, she in Ukraine.
I think every woman who aspires to achieve something is an Amazon inside. Take Cleopatra, Danae, or Medea. I mean, my freedom is always inside me, but there's always someone wanting to take it away.
The city of Lviv in western Ukraine, with its long history, is a treasure chest of myths and legend.
These sculptures are so energetic. They play with muscles and feelings. They are so seductive, and at any moment you might become just like them.
For arts critic Alice Noga, There's a very distinct line between myth and reality. Even in the words of Herodotus, an ancient historian, who claimed that there was once an Amazon state somewhere in what is now modern Ukraine.
Herodotus was an awful dreamer. What did he actually do? He collected all the myths together and combined them. As for the legendary Amazons, he never saw them himself. He just copied someone else's words. But now we're grateful to him for teaching us about Amazons. Perhaps that was true. The only thing we do know for sure is that the Scythian armies had women commanders. For example, in the battle with Alexander the Great, the Scythian army, under the command of a female warrior, crushed the phalanx formation that had never before been defeated in Europe. Perhaps it was these facts that led to the Amazon myth.
What a nice horse! He feels everything. Fall in line, in ranks. Hold the reins and then slowly pull them to yourself. It's important to hold your back straight.
I'm scared.
You overcome your fears.
Зажурились галичанки та й на тую зміну, що відходять у сусу світай на Україну. Хто ж нас поцілує в уста малинові карі, оченята чорненькі брови, хто ж нас поцілує в уста малинові карі, оченята чорні брови.
At the Kickboxing World Cup, I took first prize on my third attempt.
Вибороти перше місце.
When I won, it was like an emotional explosion.
For now, though, Vladimir is not a supreme master of combat Gopak. Today, he's just a Sunday dad, who doesn't get to see his own son often enough.
Call me when you're on your way back. Don't go for too long. He's got his homework to do.
We don't see each other often.
Come for the weekend more often. Bye.
Bye. So when you grow up, son, will you brandish a saber like this too?
I like being with Dad because we can go for walks. He can take me to the amusement park, buy me things.
I'd like my son to live like me. Gym, home, school, school, gym, home. Come on, more. Go like this. I'd like him to be surrounded by men who are devoted martial artists. I'd like Asgarda to eventually overcome the stereotypes of women who use men like personal slaves. Unfortunately, it seems I've failed.
Ну, видимо, не получилось.
He said, I'll give you time so that you can achieve some results and then see that you cannot do anything more without me. Time passed and I was satisfied with my performance. There was no point in going back.
Тому, якби, нема потреби просто вертатися.